Way back, a caveman went to a wild plant and said, look, if you give me the most delicious produce possible, I will stake you, I will water you, I will fertilize you, I will protect you. And that was the agreement that they had. Hey guys, it's Brijette with Sandy Seed Company, and we're here doing videos called The Garden Revisited. And basically, I'm gonna revisit some of our most popular, and actually some of our not as popular videos to answer questions that you left on the channel that I need to clarify and that I can add more information to, because gardening, like life, is a journey and we're constantly learning new things. And we're gonna put these videos out every week so you can watch them while I'm at home snuggling with baby number 2, and so you can continue to learn in the garden with us. Okay, today we're talking about beating the heat, which is probably one of the toughest things about growing in zone 9 and 10. Yes, it's gorgeous most of the time, but we also have extreme heat. How do you garden in weather that is that hot? Well, I'm gonna give you tips and tricks in this video in addition to what we're gonna rewatch from our old video. And I'm gonna clarify some points that you guys have made and questions that you've had and things that we've learned in our last 15 years of growing in a very hot zone. First thing is, you really wanna create healthy soil. Healthy soil holds on to more moisture and allows for your plants to not wilt as much. The other thing that I'm always talking about is mulch. Mulch. I love mulch so much. It makes a huge difference in the garden because it's going to keep alive the very microbes and fungi that you need to keep your soil healthy. Healthy soil is teeming with tons of different organisms. How do we keep them alive? We keep moisture in and we keep the soil cool, and we do that with mulch. The other thing is, your plants should be big and healthy and strong so that they themselves can fend off some heat waves. Now, I say some because if the heat is so bad, no plant naturally can really survive temperatures that we've seen these last couple of summers, up to 110 in some areas. I mean, crazy weather patterns. Some plants will naturally, like squashes, will naturally wilt a little bit in the middle of the day. That's actually a defense mechanism that they have. So don't freak out if your plants are a little wilty. What you want to prevent is them wilting to the point where they can never bounce back. When they get to the terminal wilt point and they have gone so far and they've lost so much moisture in their leaves that their cell walls cannot recuperate, that's when they really have wilted too much. Now, how do we prevent that? Well, first we start with good soil. Then we talk about crop protection. Some different things that we can do is like shade cloth. So shade cloth is an incredible product that can help extend your seasons. It can help protect your crops. Just in general, it is a really neat product. And now, I know that shade cloth it's an artificially made product, it's a man-made product that we've come up with, and it can be really helpful in these changing times. But we often get the comment or the questions, people will say, well, a plant should naturally be able to stand these temperatures that we have, and shade cloth, you shouldn't need shade cloth if your plants are really healthy. Well, unfortunately, that's not the case with agriculture. See, we have taken these wild plants, we have domesticated them, and we basically had a conversation with them. I think of it this way. Way back, a caveman went to a wild plant and said, look, if you give me the most delicious produce possible, I will stake you, I will water you, I will fertilize you, I will protect you. And that was the agreement that they had. If you give me delicious, perfect produce, I will do all those things for you. And we're still doing that in agriculture today. So, although maybe a wild tomato plant can defend itself more in extreme weathers, cultivated tomato plants cannot necessarily do that. And so it's our job to protect them. Shade cloth is one of the many ways that you can do that. All right, so that video clip that you just watched was back from 2021. Man, does time fly. But it's got really good content in it. But when we rewatched it, we also learned I kind of forgot some really important parts, and that is making sure that you have seasonally appropriate seeds. So look, growing in a really hot zone means that you have to be even more careful about what crops you grow when and what varieties you grow. So if we're putting this in a hierarchy of like importance, first of all, you have to grow the right crop in the right season. if you are growing during a warm part of the year, warm season crops are what you need to grow. Now, luckily, it's pretty easy on our seed packs. We literally list it for you. If you flip on the back, it's gonna say planting season, warm or cool. Now, if you are tuning in for the first time to our channel, check out all of the information we have about warm and cool season. But more or less, warm season is spring, summer, and parts of fall. And cool season are late fall, early winter, and barely some of spring for us because we're so warm. So you want to grow the right crop during the right time of the year. What do I mean by that? I mean, like, if it's August and you're like, I really want lettuce for my BLT, you are going to have a hard time doing that because lettuce grows during a cooler part of the year. Is it possible? Absolutely, but it's an advanced move. The other thing is making sure if you are going to grow something slightly out of season, do it with a variety that is meant to do that. Here's a good example. This is called Miami pelleted carrot seeds. Basically, it's carrot seeds that are pelleted. And as the name suggests, it's meant for areas that are really warm. So Miami is a great variety of carrot that does well throughout the whole year in zone 9 and 10, including the really warm seasons. Now, you might be asking, okay, what seeds of yours do you have that do really well in warm areas? Well, all of them. That's the whole reason why we have the seed company. It's focused specifically on zone 9 and 10. So if you're in upstate New York, zone 4, 5, I don't know what to tell you. It's like so different. But if you're in the southern states and you're growing in really hot zones, our varieties are for you. Another really good example is the Kajari melon. This is an amazing melon that does really well in our hot, sweltering summers. It loves the heat and will produce a lot even when it is really insanely hot in especially like East County, Ramona, where we grow all of our melons. All right, so let's hop into some of the top questions from this video way back in 2021. One of them is about shade cloth. So shade cloth is essential. I harp on it in all of my videos. The question is specifically about the amount of UV light. Look, you can't cheat here and do 90% shade cloth. That's going to take out too much UV light. There's a reason why what we sell is 40% UV protection, and that's because 40% is the best broad use of shade cloth for most, well, really all vegetables and most flowers. If you're growing like begonias or tropicals, you might need to use something higher in UV light. For all of the varieties that we have in our catalog, 40% UV cloth is going to be what you need. The next really good question is, how do you manage watering when it's hot and dry? Fabulous question. It is a game that we still play at the farm all the time of like too much, too little, we don't really know, it's hard. The general rule of thumb with watering is you want to get water as deep into the soil as possible because then it has a longer period of time of being in the soil before it evaporates. That's really important. So in the summertime, when it's really hot, we're watering for longer periods of time, and we're actually having more space in between our waterings so that the top layer of the soil can dry out and we have less weeds. The other thing that's really going to help with your watering is making sure you mulch. Mulch is another layer of protection to keep moisture in your soil, which is essential for keeping your microbes alive and keeping your plants alive. One of the points in your question too is, can you actually cool down the plants by spraying them? Often that's not really the case, and overhead watering for most of your warm season crops are just going to lead to foliar diseases. There are some exceptions. Dahlias like a little bit of a spritz, ranunculus as well, but as a general rule of thumb, water at the soil base, water deeply, and water for a much longer period of time than you would in other parts of the season because it's so warm. So now question number 3 we have here, which is a perfect segue from the previous question. This gardener is asking specifically about how they can keep their soil temperatures cooler because they live in a tropical area. Well, for those of you who are in like Florida and more tropical areas, it's a little bit harder for you because it's not just soil temperature, but it's also the moisture. You have a lot more pathogens because you have warmer soil that has more moisture in it. For us, it's not as much of a concern. Again, I'm going to go back to the same recommendations I have. Shade cloth is going to help keep your soil cooler, and mulch. I can't say enough about mulch. I literally harp on mulch all the time. It's like one of my favorite things. It's incredible what it can do. We actually did an experiment in our orchard and we saw that areas that were mulched were 10, almost 15 degrees cooler in the soil where there was a layer of mulch. So put mulch down, put a lot of it down, and that's gonna help keep moisture in and keep the soil temperature down and keep happy plants. All right, so that is the garden revisited, and we hope that you enjoyed it. Make sure you comment on this video and tell me any other questions that you have. Subscribe to our channel, and if you really want to be a good gardener, sign up for our Growing Together membership so that we can learn for a whole year together, and I can help you make your garden the best it's ever been.